Turns out Garrett Crochet might not be an ace after all, and signing Andrew Benintendi to that huge contract last offseason continues to age badly. Let's discuss next on Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, I'm Todd Welter, a lifelong White Sox fan and the site expert of Southside Showdown, part of the Fansided Network. You can check out my written content at southsideshowdown.com. Also, I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And hey, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button and give a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, as that would be greatly appreciated. All right. So the White Sox current losing streak is now up to 6 after the Twins won last night 6-3. Garrett Crochet was on the mound, and for the third straight start, that's a tongue twister there. For the third straight start, he looked shaky. I'm going to discuss if what we are seeing over the last couple of starts is the real Garrett Crochet. Then Andrew Benintendi once again had some fielding gaffes that cost the Sox some runs. And finally, I'm going to go over how does the Bears' new stadium plans affect the White Sox cost to get a new building. But today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. So Garrett Crochet lasted 4+ innings as he allowed 5 runs, 7 hits, walked 2, and struck out 6. We all remember that Crochet was dazzling in his first 3 starts, although the way that this season is going, it seems like a lifetime ago. Just one bad thing after another. Because White Sox baseball, where bad things happen on a daily basis. Not exactly the kids can play theme there. And it's the unofficial theme. I made it up. Sip of coffee there, as you guys know. Love my coffee. Again, with the Collectivo Blue Healer. And for those not watching on YouTube, we're going with the White Sox mug again. But as we remember, in the first 3 starts he had of the season, he handcuffed the Atlanta Braves in his second start. He was amazing on opening day as he gave up just a run. And he was pretty good in his third start against the Royals. And there was comparisons to Chris Sale. There was this belief that, he could be the next top of the rotation starter, especially after the Sox traded Dylan Cease during spring training. But he also came into the season with just 73 career innings, and he was being converted over from being a reliever. And these last 3 starts, he has struggled. He has gone from must-see TV to you want to turn off your TV. So what is going on with Garrett Crochet? Well, just from what I'm seeing, he is developing a habit of having a big inning. Against Cincinnati, he gave up all 5 of his runs in the second. Against Philadelphia, he gave up 3 runs in the first and 3 runs in the third. And last night, it was 4 in the second. The other issue, giving up the home run ball. For the Phillies, those 3 runs in the first and third, they came off 2 3-run homers by Alec Boehm. Because if you look at the heat maps on Baseball Savant, and I looked it up, it's not like he's out of control. He's throwing strikes. Stuff is still amazing. He's at the top of the strikeout leaderboard. But it's just some pitches he is making mistakes on, and they're getting hit now. Last night, Willie Castro smacked a 3-run homer as Crochet was trying to throw inside. And that's the other thing. He's a lefty. Bohm and Castro, both righties. And it was pitches, especially against Castro, he was trying to get that pitch down and inside, but that's still going to leave the ball up over the plate for a brief second, just a brief second. And that's what Castro did. He just turned on it and powered it out. So, I'm leading off with, should we question if Garrett Crochet is an ace? Because his ERA is now up over 6.37. Or is up over 6. Sorry. After the first 3 starts, his ERA was at 2. I mean, I was excited to watch Garrett Crochet pitch. And now it's like, when's that shoe going to drop? When's that other shoe going to drop? Just like this has been all season. The Sox get a couple of positive plays, then the other shoe drops. They get home runs by Corey Lee and Kevin Pillar. They even had a run come from stealing home on a really smart base running play. Yes, the Sox had a smart base running play, but then more bad. But I'm not ready to write off Garrett Crochet yet as being an ace. We've seen it. I think this is just part of the evolution of him becoming a starter. He just has to find now he has to keep making adjustments. The league has adjusted to him. Now he has to adjust back. But, it's like his struggles the last 3 outings, it's like we just can't have nice things. It would have been nice to continue to see Garrett Crochet dominate on the mound, make an all-star team, and he still can. It's just the representation right now of his last 3 starts. The representation of White Sox baseball, you can't have nice things. But if he can avoid that big inning, I think he's going to be all right. And the other thing is he's not going to be, he should be on a pitch count for the rest of the year. He should probably only pitch until August and then shut him down for September. We don't want him having more arm issues because he is vital to the team's future. Although one of the runs Crochet was charged with last night happened after he left the game. And it happened because Andrew Benintendi once again misplayed a fly ball. And we're going to discuss his recent efforts in the field and at the plate next on Locked On White Sox. Hey, life insurance is not something we like to think about, and it can be time-consuming in finding the best policy at the best rate. Well, with Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. And some options offer same-day approval and avoid that unnecessary medical exam. I'm a parent, and I know I need life insurance in case, God forbid, something happens to me. I'm not leaving my wife with nothing. Your work life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. And even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. That's why you probably should take out a life insurance policy. And if you're trying to find out where should I go, Policygenius. Policygenius gives you unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. And guys, I need you to listen up for this huge announcement. I've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping my eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it, and I'm super pumped to announce I'm finally on top. That's right. Obviously, I'm talking about the hit mobile game, Monopoly Go. You've probably heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on the classic Monopoly you can play anywhere, anytime. You can explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Las Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge fortune. I've gone from New York. I'm ready to build up London on my game. Charge rent on iconic properties just like classic Monopoly. You can charge your friends rent on your iconic properties. You darn right you're paying $1,000 on Boardwalk. Or go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heists and taking wrecking balls to their landmark. My favorite part is the leaderboards, where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. So get yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and Google Play. And are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV's channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And welcome back into Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. We discussed on the previous segment if Garrett Crochet is still ace material. And again, he got charged a run as he went 4+ innings. He got charged for 5 runs, but one of the runs he gave up, technically he didn't give up, as he was relieved by Davy Garcia. Garcia's next pitch blooped into center field, and Andrew Benintendi misplayed it. That's right. Andrew Benintendi owns the distinction of getting the richest free agent contract in franchise history at $75 million over 5 years. That's right. The Sox are still $25 million away from giving out the going rate for elite talent. But hey, at least they can pay mediocre players like Andrew Benintendi. And yes, Andrew Benintendi, I'm just going to say, he's always been a mediocre player. Well, maybe not a mediocre player. He's a non-power hitting corner outfielder. So yeah, mediocre, because you always want your corner outfielders to be able to crush the ball. Benintendi's off to a 167, 205, 190 slash line. His career marks are 273, 344, 412 over his 9 seasons. He did have a double last night, but that was just his second extra base hit of the season. And he did something decent on Tuesday when he had a 2-out, 2 RBI hit. But otherwise, he is having a terrible series, especially in the field against the Twins. Fly balls just keep finding a way to fall because he's usually misplayed it. There was 2 against the Twins, obviously last night. It was, as mentioned, Max Kepler's RBI bloop dropped between him and Paul DeJong. Paul DeJong did not look happy with Andrew Benintendi after that. I don't know if he was just not happy because Andrew Benintendi wasn't charging in enough, or maybe he realized Andrew Benintendi is just not that fast. The guy looks like he's running in quicksand. And then Christian Vasquez's double dropped in the 7th, again on a misplay. So, and it's not like Benintendi couldn't make the play, especially in the 5th. It had a 93% chance of being caught. That's according to the Chicago Sun-Times. And James Fagan, he tweeted this out at JR Fagan. Pedro Gafal said there was a 90% percent catch probability on Max Kepler's fifth inning bloop single that dropped between Andrew Benintendi and Paul DeYoung. Quote, I'll have to talk to both of those guys to see why the play wasn't made. End quote. Well, I have one theory, and I'm not alone in this theory. Andrew Benintendi just doesn't look like he's grinding. He's not being one of those fast players. He's just not playing fast. Some people are questioning, once he got a 75 million, how committed is he? I mean, these are routine plays, and he looks like he is just lost out there. He looks like he's disengaged. Now, he's getting more engaged at the plate. Got to give him credit for that. Again, 2 hits, 2 big hits in this series, too. But he has just been a nightmare in the field. The night before, he was in left, misjudges a ball that fell for a double. It was a high fly ball. This ball was in the air for 4 or 5 seconds. Devin Hester could have fielded it and ran it back for a touchdown. But he takes a step back, thinking it's going to go farther, and instead it's going left and shorter, and he can't make it up, and it falls for a double. Oh, and it happened in the 9th inning. That allowed the eventual winning run to get to third. I mean, you do have to question Andrew Benintendi's engagement out there. Is he locked in? Or is he, would he rather be any place else but out on the ballpark? Maybe cashing his checks. I mean, it's just really frustrating to watch him carry on the tradition established by Adam Dunn. Because the one thing that we just have to accept as White Sox fans, that even if they eventually sign a free agent to a $100 million contract, that free agent's probably going to be terrible with the White Sox. They just have this ability when they give out big money deals. It's like these players are just like, well, early retirement. I mean, Adam Dunn, he came in, basically mailed it in. Yasmani Grandal, he got at the time, the richest free agent contract. And we all remember his infamous tenure where he was a catcher who couldn't catch the ball. And at one point, he had this amazing on-base percentage, but he had a terrible average. He had 2 outcomes. He was either getting out or walking. And then he was so slow that you needed 3 hits to get him home. Dallas Keuchel, another one. Big money free agent pitcher. Gave you 1 good year, and then he was, starting small fires out there on the mound with how much he was getting, lit up. This is, again, just another microcosm of the disaster of the organization that the White Sox has become. They're misidentifying players that they think are going to put them over the top. Now, granted, it was the previous regime, and this contract is now going to be hanging like an albatross over the White Sox neck. And it's probably just another excuse that Jerry Reinsdorf can use to say, I'm not spending big money. Look, we just gave this guy $75 million and he's doing nothing. Speaking of Jerry, we're going to switch gears and discuss how the Chicago Bears' new stadium plans, they were unveiled yesterday. How could that affect Jerry's dream of getting a new stadium? Next on Locked On White Sox. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch those winnings roll in. PrizePicks is simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Again, I got a really good friend. Um, he loves that as he lives behind the cheddar curtain. So if he wants to make entries, he's using Prize Picks. I'm a big fan of that simplicity. It's just more or less, and I just got to pick two players. They set, reasonable lines for, who should, where does the more or less come from? And that's all you got to do. Pick more or less, let those winnings roll in. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, welcome back into Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. Want to thank you if you've stuck with me this long during the show. Another sip of coffee there. And time to change. I still think I haven't shook the full remnants of this cold I was battling last week. But again, hope you're having a good week. Again, appreciate you sticking with me this long, you everydayers. We are a loyal bunch. We're in a toxic relationship with the White Sox. I feel like you and I sometimes, if you're really that loyal, are just we keep remembering those good days. Like it's so great in the beginning. It'll be great again. They'll change. Well, we all know that Jerry Reinsdorf wants to get a new stadium built on the 78, the vacant land in the South Loop that once developed will be Chicago's 78th neighborhood. But the Chicago Bears, they also want to get a new stadium built. And it's not going to be in Arlington Heights, apparently, because the Bears announced in the most awkward new stadium unveiling ever that they have plans to build a new dome stadium in the south lot of Soldier Field. The plan calls for $3.2 billion for the new stadium plus an additional $1.5 billion in infrastructure. So basically, what they're going to do is they're going to build a new dome stadium. They're going to remove the spaceship out of the colonnades of Old Soldier Field. Then at will be Old Soldier Field, and create some green space there. The proposal, though, calls for $2.025 billion from the Bears, $300 million from an NFL loan, and $900 million in bonds from the Illinois Sports Facilities Authority. Now, that funding comes from extending those bonds that on the bonds that they issued to build Guaranteed Rate Field and then renovate Soldier Field. And it also gets paid on that existing 2% hotel tax. So how does this impact Jerry Reinsdorf's dreams? That of a pretty much fully publicly funded stadium that Jerry wants? Well, first, the lawmakers have told both the White Sox and the Bears present their requests together as a unified front. Although during Wednesday's press conference, there was not a lot of mention of the White Sox being included in the Bears' plans. It was asked of Bears president Kevin Warren, and he said this, quote, "No, when it comes to, are they mentioning any of their specific funding?" Warren said, "No, quote, no, it doesn't include any money for what the White Sox want, but it doesn't mean that money does not exist for what they want. So that's why we're continuing conversations," end quote. And Warren did say that they had a meeting, I think as recently as Sunday with the White Sox. But the ask is going to be astronomical. Reinsdorf is reportedly trying to get $1.25 billion. He wants to use that collection of the hotel tax. They have both the Bears and the Sox asked the city for that, a cut of the ticket fee tax. City said no way. But basically, you're talking about a project. If you add them both up, It's going to be, and they even said an estimated 1.9 billion. Sort of like, let's just say at the most, we're talking about both projects that are going to cost about $7 billion. And Reinsdorf finally mentioned that he's willing to put in some of his money, but up to only 200 million. So the Bears are willing to put up 2 billion, and the White Sox are willing to put up only 200 million. That's a fraction. The Bears are willing to put up half. Reinsdorf is willing to put up, basically what amounts to spare change in the, relative to what we're talking about. Yes, I'm very aware that we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars of your money if you're a taxpayer of the state of Illinois or a resident of Cook County. And we can get into, again, should these private entities build their own stadiums? But just remember, usually, like, for example, one of the things that the Bears are requesting for is a new, if I read the report correctly, a new exit ramp from Lakeshore Drive, more access to Soldier Field, because everybody complains about how hard it is to get to Soldier Field. So usually, like when it comes to roads, just the pipes, a lot of that infrastructure, that stuff usually does have to fall on the taxpayers. But, when it comes to what we're talking about here, if you're going to talk about who's going to get to the front of the line if they have to go their separate ways, it's probably going to be the Bears because they're at least willing to pony up a way bigger amount of money. And then the scariest thing is Jerry is floating the idea that if he can secure this new stadium, his heirs may keep the team if a long-term stadium plan is in place. So that means when Jerry eventually leaves this world, and to show how arrogant he plans on sticking around for another 10 years, must be nice to think you're God. Michael Reinsdorf could eventually keep the White Sox. So you really want the guy that has been running the Bulls, running the White Sox? It's just going to be more of the same. But hey, that's the Chicago White Sox. Chicago White Sox baseball. New boss, meet the old boss. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. Before I go, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow to go over who is this week's What Is It You Say You Do here. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button and give a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts, as I would greatly appreciate that. And let me know your thoughts on today's topics regarding Garrett Crochet, Andrew Benintendi, and the Sox new stadium plans being affected by the Bears on Twitter at ToddJDub, or you can email me at lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.